Welcome to Social Impact Ireland's 2022 Showcase. Welcome to Social Impact Ireland's 2022 Showcase. I am your host, Richard Lynch, and this is a celebration of Social Impact Ireland's most comprehensive programme, the Business for Social Impact Incubator Programme, which is designed specifically to create and develop sustainable businesses that make a positive social impact. You are about to meet the most amazing social entrepreneurs who have recently graduated the programme and hear all about the impact they are delivering with their social enterprises. The theme for this showcase is Impact Revolution, being part of the solution, and what you are about to see is a group of dedicated entrepreneurs that are offering solutions to some of the issues prevalent in Ireland today. You will also hear from our two guest speakers as they talk about the importance of having social impact and how there is a rise in the number of social enterprises in Ireland. But first off, I would like to introduce you to Michaela Donegan, the Social Innovation and Impact Manager at Social Impact Ireland.
Thank you, Richard, for that lovely introduction. An impact revolution is made possible by entrepreneurs, businesses and corporations helping to solve social problems collaboratively. But as we know, real change takes time, commitment and solutions, which facilitates life for us, creates jobs and drives economic growth. A society that embraces social entrepreneurs and offers them a place is a society that grows. In a few minutes, you will meet 9 very inspiring social entrepreneurs who have completed our Spring Incubator Programme 2022 Business for Social Impact. As we move on from the pandemic, which has had a profound effect on society, the impacts on people are only still emerging. These include new insights, expectations, fears, realizations, along with the impact of trauma. As overwhelm seems to be gaining traction in our communities, we need to break down our activities into one step at a time. People's values and hopes are now shaping their ideas of their future. Problem-solving solutions, which you will see here today, can lead to social change, cultural change, political development, and economic progression. Such innovation drives our society and our economy. Our social incubator, Business for Social Impact participants have breathed life into their visions. And over the past 6 months, they have nurtured their solution. Their will is optimistic. As Frida Kahlo once said, passion is the bridge that takes you from pain to change. And this year's social incubator participants have plenty of passion. Multiple sectors finding a reason to collaborate will benefit this impact revolution if we shift impact to the center of our consciousness. It needs to be brought to the heart of our society and placed at the center of everyone considering impact they are having. The vast majority of problems we face today are so complex that they will not be solved by a small group, but requires action from whole communities and organizations, experimenting, collaborating, and innovating together. You will see such evidence of impact today through the motivation, the curiosity, the values, along with the actions of our showcase participants. This group of entrepreneurs commenced on the programme last February and have shown huge resilience throughout. It's not been easy as life endeavours to remould into shapes we may not have considered or have had to deal with previously. We are honoured to have witnessed their growth. We all need to play our part in supporting social enterprises, especially the ones you will meet this afternoon, and we urge you to support them. As you meet these amazing businesses, I encourage you to think about what kind of a world you want to live in. Do you want to put impact at the core? As you ponder about this, I'll hand you back to Richard, who will introduce you to our first showcase participant this afternoon. I really hope you enjoy this event.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Now, let's meet the first of our participants, introducing Damien Quinn from Spirinua.
Spirinua is a personal journey through the criminal justice system. I found myself in prison many years ago, and when I got sent to prison, I said I would use the time to correct my behaviour, get an education, become job ready, and plan for a better future. The reality was I got out with a label that even today I can't disentangle myself from. I got sent to prison as the punishment. Then when I get out, then you have the secondary punishment, living with the label and living with the consequences of your conviction. Currently, there is no incentive to change when you come up against all these different obstacles, such as going to volunteer, going for a job, going for education, to get car insurance, to get a house off the council. All of these situations require vetting, and if you have a poor background, it's very likely that you're not going to get the opportunity over somebody that doesn't have a bad background. Half the people that get out end up back in within the first 3 years. And I believe that that's directly linked in the inability to tap into opportunity. We need an additional communication that looks at all of the positive stuff that we've done since the time. Because currently, all we have is a historical binary view that is a record of a particular point in time. You know, a very negative, and our own fault for being there to begin with, but a very negative and binary view of us historically. But there's nothing there that captures all of the positive stuff we've done to correct that behaviour, to become educated and to become job ready and employable and fully participating members of society. So what I'm proposing with Spirinua is an ongoing assessment model that gives a current and balanced view of where you are today, you know, and what you're doing right with your life today. So currently there is absolutely nothing in place that documents or captures all of the positive steps people take out of life of crime. So this will be the first of its kind here in Ireland. And I think by using this process where we document the journey to change, we hand it over then to be assessed by the people that arrested them to begin with, for them to take a look at what they've been doing with their time since. And if they're all happy with the benchmarks that they've set out, that these have been met, they sign off on it, and then alongside the criminal conviction disclosure, we get a current certificate of commitment to change. So by partnering with us to go through this process and we keep them out of prison, we get them into the community and employment and into education and all them things based on their own effort to change. We are making significant savings, not only to the state but to the communities that these people come from, because they're no longer offending. The wider community is no longer impacted by their behaviour. The family structures are rebuilt. It bothers me to think about other people having to jump through the hoops I've had to jump through to get here. Like, my journey to where I am today is well over a decade, like, and I've heard an awful lot of no's based on a bit of my past I can't change, you know. The problem affects everybody, and like, unless we are actively trying to correct behaviour and support people to correct their behaviour, nothing will change.
Hi Damien, how are you? I am so excited to hear all about Spirinua. I know it means New Horizon in English. Welcome.
Hi Richard, nice to meet you, and thank you for the intro.
Tell me, Damien, what inspired your social enterprise? Tell me all about it.
Spirinua is a personal journey through the criminal justice system. I found myself on the wrong side of the law, my own doing, of course, and but I made the decision when I found myself there to get an education and plan for when I got back out again. And the reality was then I used the time to become employable, job ready, you know, plan for the future, all that type of thing. And then when I got out then, that's when the real punishment started, because anytime I put my best foot forward, barriers popped up because I had a label. So the reason that Spirinua was set up is because I believe that we need an additional communication that shows all of the positive stuff that has happened since that time. because currently all we have is a historic disclosure of nothing but bad moments in our lives. And that doesn't allow for growth or change or any of that type of thing. So that's where the idea has come from to develop this program, because it is really, really hard. And it's really hard anyways, but it's especially hard if you've got labels that you can't disentangle yourself from.
Well, I think labels are for jars, Damien. I know the heart and foundation are there in this project because you're building it literally from personal experience. But tell me, how does the social enterprise actually help people?
Well, the social enterprise is like what we've developed is like a peer mentoring program. So I will work with other people that have been through the criminal justice system to kind of support them to show their journey to change, and get that then assessed by the Gardaí and probation and all them organisations. And if the benchmarks that the Gardaí and all that have set out are met by the individual, then it's validated and certified.
All
So
right.
that individual no longer believes that his past or her past is going to prevent them from securing opportunities. They now believe that they now have an incentive, to change. They have a reason to go stick with something because they will no longer be held back by their past. They're proven that they're more than that. They're going to start feeling better about themselves and what they have to offer to society.
Oh, that's amazing, Damien. I think everyone deserves a second chance. Now, what impact will your social enterprise have on the community and beyond?
What we're doing at the minute is we're starting in Galway, but the intention is to roll out across the country through the peer mentoring program. From a financial standpoint, purely a financial standpoint, it's €80,445 on average to keep one person in prison per annum. So, like, we are setting out to support 80 people over the first 2 years. And even if we just manage to get a quarter of that over the line, there'd be a massive saving to the state just on incarceration costs alone. Like the cost of the Gardaí per annum is 1.46 billion.
Wow.
The cost for the budget for the Irish Prison Service is 300 million. Free legal aid last year was 67 million. So, like, crime doesn't pay anyone.
No, it doesn't.
So, from a financial standpoint, they're the types of savings we'd be looking to kind of bring down. The repeat offending rates are half the people that get out end up back in there. We'd like to see that come down as well, and align with Norway, who are currently at 20%. So that type of a thing. And they actually have a certificate of good conduct in Norway. So we're going to try and do something similar here in Ireland.
Wow, you are really changing lives and really helping people because you help one person, you're helping a whole family, you're helping so many people in society. What challenges do you think, Damien, you're going to face with this project?
Society in general, I suppose I say it all the time. Prison was the easy part. You knew you were going to go there, and you knew you were going to be punished. You knew how long you were going to be there for. And I was of the opinion that the punishment ended when I got out the gate. That wasn't the case. Like when you'd go for a house, Garda vetting; when you go for a job, Garda vetting; when you go to volunteer, Garda vetting; when you go for a school, Garda vetting; to leave the country, for insurance, to start your own business. All of these good steps forward you try to take become a problem for somebody that has a background. So that's problematic for everybody, because nobody wins if somebody can't turn their life around.
Yeah, you're constantly being judged. That sounds so difficult, Damien. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and anyone that's in the prison system has to go through that. Where do you see this project in 5 years?
Well, we're actually part of an all-island collaborative, so we'd like to do this both south and north of the border. And I link in with organisations in the UK as well. So we'll get it right here. We'll be going to the UK too with it. So it's not just like we do see it growing and expanding out to different countries. What we ultimately would like to see is the numbers coming down for people going back in again, that they are actually tapping into it, opportunity.
Absolutely.
That they've worked hard for. I seen it. I seen a number of people inside that done all of the right things, had the big, beautiful plans for the future and all this stuff for getting their family back, for giving back and all that kind of thing, not being able to do it, ending up right back where they started, and some of them are dead. Nobody wins in that situation,
Damien, I think you are truly an amazingly inspiring person. What you're doing is helping so many people. Can I just ask you one more question? How has working with Social Impact Ireland helped you on your journey?
Well, the whole journey through Social Impact Ireland has been unreal. They've been really, really hands-on. All these good business supports, advice, speakers, help us get our language right about the message we're trying to get across. Making links between different organizations and now this pitching event as well. People are getting to hear nationally about what we're all trying to do. And nothing but good can come from this showcasing event as well. They've been absolutely wonderful, all of them, and thanks to them all for believing in me and the project.
Damien, what can I say? I think what you're doing for society is incredible. I think your social enterprise is incredible. I think you're incredible. I'm giving you 10 cheers. Thank you so much. It was an honor to meet you, Damien. I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Richard. Really nice talking to you, and thanks for having me on.
Amazing. Thank you, Damien. Let's meet the next of our participants. It's Favor and Esther from the Purpose Movement. Hi, Favor and Esther. How are you girls doing? I want to welcome the Purpose Movement.
Hi, Richard. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for having us here.
Lovely to meet you too.
Hi, Richard. Lovely to meet you. Thank you for having us here.
Hi, Favor. Welcome. First of all, girls, it's such an honor to meet you. I'm so curious to hear all about your social enterprise. Will you explain first what the Purpose Movement actually is?
Yeah, definitely. So the Purpose Movement is a community organization, and we are committed to inspiring young adults and young people to become the best versions of themselves. So our mission is this: we believe in equipping and empowering every young person to move, grow, and evolve in every area of their lives. So you're not just limited to one area, but you can grow in every part of every area of your life and become the best version of yourself. So we do this through four main pillars, or four key pillars, which is community, conversations, mentorship, and also outreach. And yeah, our goal is just to build a world of empowered individuals who dare to dream big, break barriers, and conquer daily. And what is unique about us is, we value people. We often say people are our hearts. We know how important it is to create that safe space for young people to come together, that safe space for young people to grow and feel like they can be who they are. So that's what we're committed to doing.
This is all amazing. I love it. But tell me, what was the inspiration for your social enterprise?
The Purpose Movement came from a group of individuals who came together as a community to discuss issues and topics that were not really spoken about. So it began to grow as we began to meet each and every day. We began to talk about different things from life, faith, society, and culture. And then we noticed that there was a need for this. There's a need for this space where people could come and talk about different things. So then our membership just began to grow each and every year. And then we decided to do more events, and that's how the community began to grow even more.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you girls. Life is all about community. But tell me, who are your audience exactly? Are they minorities?
Ethnic minorities would be majority of our audience.
Oh, right. Okay. And so tell me, what impact do you hope this social enterprise is going to have on the community, your community, moving into the future? What do you expect to achieve?
Yeah, we just aspire to create a long-lasting impact. So we believe in positively influencing and shaping behaviors. And like I said, our vision is to build a world of empowered people who dare to dream big, who dare to break down barriers, and who want to conquer every single day. So our vision and our goal is to ensure that we make that long lasting impression where people feel confident in who they are, who feel bold in who they are, and who are willing to grow and are constantly evolving and becoming the best versions of themselves. So if we can even just do a little bit of that if we can even make a little bit of an impact through our organization, then we're going down definitely a great path.
That is really beautiful, Esther. Tell me, Esther, where exactly do you see it in 5 years? How do you see this growing, and where do you envision yourselves to be?
Well, we see ourselves making a long-lasting impression. So part of our core pillars here at Purpose is community, conversation, mentorship, and outreach. So in the next 5 years, we see ourselves growing and progressing through each pillar. So for example, through our community pillar, we hope to have a large membership base so people feel like they can be a part of this and be part of our community and our network. Through our conversations pillar, we hope to create a platform where we can actually have meaningful conversations that make an impact. Through our mentorship program, we aspire to have a mentorship program that's the go-to program, especially for young adults and creatives that want to progress professionally, but also people that want to self-improve and have a personal coach. So we hope to help them through our mentorship program. And then finally, through our outreach pillar, we want to give back to our community. We want to make an impact in society. So our aspiration is to partner with corporations and companies that want to get involved in what we're doing and help us give back to the nation.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Favor, a question for you. What challenges do you think you girls are going to face with this project? What challenges do you think are going to come up?
Yeah, so as I kind of mentioned, our community has been built from such like a strong bond, and we've managed to grow that from our online platform, right? So our main challenges in the future is, moving from the online platform to the in-person, connection. And so we're trying to do more in-person events now that the pandemic is, opening up and everything like that. So we're trying to have that shift from the online platform and balance out the two, basically. So both online and in person.
Oh, fantastic. Esther, who is your social enterprise aimed at exactly? I know you mentioned minorities and ethnicities, but how are you reaching them?
Yeah. And even just to clarify, we're focused on young adults and people from the age of 17 up until 30. So part of our origin began in Minute University, where we launched as an official society there. And our plan, and we see ourselves progressing, is through societies as well. So not just limited to social media and online, but we plan on actually getting hands-on in universities and colleges and getting involved there and getting more young adults and young people involved. We're also looking to reach people at the early stages of their careers, so in young professions, and reach them through networks and communities there. So that's how we plan on growing our platform and our social enterprise.
Oh, it's all making sense to me now, because all these groups are already existing in colleges and universities, and you were tapping into these already existing organizations. Favor, how has working with Social Impact Ireland affected the journey you girls are on?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, because they've provided us with so much like workshops and networks, and that has really helped us grow in relation to like our admin, in relation to networking, and how to create like our vision statement, and how to also create our plans, our unique selling point, and how to effectively communicate our vision to people. And it can continuously grow as long as we just continue to put that effort and belief into what we do. So they've been an amazing help to us.
Yeah, Social Impact Ireland are amazing. You girls are amazing. I am so thrilled to have met both of you. You girls are going to go on and do amazing things. You're already doing amazing things. And I'm giving you a massive round of applause, girls. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Richard. We're really looking forward to sharing our message with the entire world.
Thank you so much, Richard. We're looking forward to sharing our message with the world.
Thank you so much, Favor and Esther. I love your project, and I'm so excited to see it develop. Next up, let's meet Molly from Positive Pathways, Ireland. Hi, Molly. It's so nice to meet you and welcome to Positive Pathways. How are you doing?
Hey, Richard. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today to have this opportunity to share some of the work that we're doing in Positive Pathways Ireland.
So, Molly, tell me a little bit about your social enterprise and explain to everybody watching exactly what you guys do.
Positive Pathways Ireland was set up in 2009, and the aim of it really is to start investing in Irish families who support a loved one with an intellectual disability. And it's a really exciting time in Ireland. We have legislation change, we have the UN Convention, and this offers family a real opportunity to have a seat at the table and be part of them supporting their loved one to have a meaningful life in the creation and the sustainability of inclusive communities. So we're very fortunate to be walking alongside families from across the country at the moment, learning from them and creating that space where we can capture and share their voices, we can share their lived experiences, and we can also offer them the space to think about their own natural authority and their role in supporting their loved one. We've been very fortunate. We've had some engagement with other countries, and we've gained a huge amount of knowledge from other families in other jurisdictions that have been really helpful for us in Ireland. And so we're excited that this initiative has taken flight. The families are really engaged. And I suppose there's just such a wonderful energy around this that we can support and create positive stories for people with intellectual disabilities in Ireland, ordinary stories where people are living their best lives in community, where they're having the opportunities that perhaps you and I have had just to be part of their community and bring their gifts. And this is because, I guess, that fundamentally at the core of each community is family.
Nice. Now, Molly, can you tell me and explain to me what services does your social enterprise offer?
So our social enterprise is really focused on families. It's focused on meeting families where they're at. And what we know that for a lot of families who support a loved one with an intellectual disability, they're very poor on time and they face extra challenges, whether that be time-wise, daily challenges, and financial challenges. So our aim is to meet families where they're at and to provide them an opportunity to capture their voice, share that with other families, and also provide the space for them to come together, because each family has its own culture, it's got its own strengths, it's got its own resources.
So tell me, Molly, what's your background and how did you come up with the idea for this social enterprise?
Well, Richard, I've been very fortunate. I've been around this disability world all of my life, and I have had some amazing opportunities to work with incredible agents of change, leaders in the field. I've been fortunate to work in academic settings, to working within organizations around how we can support change within the landscape of Ireland and disability. But I guess my greatest inspiration comes from my sister. So my sister is 2 years younger than I. And I guess what I saw quickly was that because of the label of her intellectual disability, her life pathway was very different from mine. And yet what I knew instinctively within me was that she was part of a loving family who wanted her to have the same opportunities that we all had. And I suppose being a family member keeps me at the core of all of this. And I just am passionate because I believe in the power of families and I believe in their ability to really create the right opportunities for their loved ones.
That's really beautiful, Molly. Tell me, obviously this is so personal to you. What impact will your social enterprise have on your community?
For me, I would just love to be part of that conversation where we can move away from looking at people with an intellectual disability purely based on the label and purely based on the defect or what supports they need, but look at it from a community point of view and looking at what supports we can offer people that they then can live their best life. So ideally, what we would love to see is that people, families in particular, would have an opportunity to engage in these processes. We'd love to see in the next 5 years that maybe perhaps 50% of families, particularly those who are beginning the journey with children in school, have that space where they can come, They can share their lived experiences. They can hear the voices so they know they're not alone, and that they can, within the context of their own family and in support and, in partnership with services, can have hope for a better future.
Oh, this is beautiful. Molly, can you tell me, your social enterprise, what is the unique selling point that would separate you from other social enterprises that are similar to you?
Well, what's really interesting, I guess, is when you think about the amount of taxpayer money that's currently going into the disability sector. And I believe it's up to 5 billion a year. And so what we see is that while there's huge investment in services and supports, which obviously are an aid to families and an aid to the individual, it hasn't been as much of an investment in families. And so that's where we feel that we can be helpful. The other aspect, I suppose, is our culture. So we believe that if you can earn your seat at the family table, that if you come with kindness and listening and understanding, and if you create a space that's not based on judgment, then people can kind of figure out their own solutions with the right way. So that's at the core of what Positive Pathways does. So I think what's different about us is that we keep going back to families. This whole initiative and social enterprise came from a question of myself and my colleague going around the country and simply asking families what would be helpful.
Thank you so much, Molly. It was so lovely to chat with you, and I'm wishing you every luck and success with your social enterprise. Thank you so much.
So, Richard, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, and I hope it's given you a sense of what we're aiming to achieve. Through Positive Pathways Ireland, we feel there's a real opportunities to support families on their own journey in their leadership and empower families who have a loved one with an intellectual disability in Ireland.
Bravo. Thank you, Positive Pathways Ireland. Speak to you soon. Thank you, Molly. It was so lovely to meet you. And now it's time to hear from our first guest speaker, introducing Fionn Kidney from Common Knowledge. Common Knowledge is a social enterprise based outside Ennistimon on Ireland's wild west coast. Their mission is to empower people with the skills, resources and community to create a sustainable and abundant life. Over to you, Fionn.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks a million for inviting me along today. Greetings from Ennistimon in County Clare. I know the theme of today is social impact revolution, and actually I want to talk about my own personal journey with social impact because, if I'm honest, it wasn't really until the last 10 years that I came to have a better understanding of what social impact even meant, let alone how I might go about creating it. I guess as a young queer person in pre-marriage equality Ireland, I spent much of my teenage years worrying about my own future rather than planning a career or considering the type of impact I could have. So by my early 20s, I found myself working in a marketing agency and really feeling like I was missing something. Once I had a better sense of myself, I knew this wasn't how I wanted to spend my life at all. I knew I liked the creative and cultural world and collaborating with interesting people and planning and starting things, but wasn't quite sure how to channel this energy I had. So I put myself out in the world and started experimenting, and this led me towards managing a campaign for a young candidate in the 2011 general election. Now, at the time, young people in Ireland were feeling completely disenfranchised from politics and emigrating in their tens of thousands, as we'll remember. We ran for political and social reform. Because we wanted to create an Ireland that young people would want to live in rather than leave. We didn't have any political experience, but we knew we had the advantage of understanding young people. And frankly, we knew how to use the internet, which was only really coming online as a tool in political campaigns at the time. However, we'd run in the most competitive constituency in Ireland, and though we were close, Dylan wasn't elected. Now, in previous projects, this might have seemed like a failure, like we didn't achieve our goal, but for me, the messages we received afterwards gave me a taste of the wider outcomes our work had achieved. Young people told us they'd never thought politics was for them or about voting before, and even travelled back to Ireland to vote for our candidate. A grandmother sent in a letter to say that she'd given up on the younger generation, but that our campaign had filled her with hope for the future. And I had this feeling for the first time that I could use the skills and knowledge I had for positive impact. And this was a pivotal moment for me, and I guess you could call it my own personal impact revolution. So I set out to find more meaningful work and ended up working at Science Gallery for the following 5 years, which was a really exciting place, working with new ideas where I had my first real taste of formal analysis of social impact. And I took this experience into my next role, albeit at a different context, in an innovation centre for a large consultancy firm, because I believed I could bring in ideas from the arts and academia that could inspire people with influence in business to make decisions that were better for people and the planet. Now, what became very clear during my time there was that large corporations, whilst keen for the rhetoric of social impact, have a huge amount of work to do to meaningfully prioritise and achieve it, and need to change not only their value system, but their culture to do so. Traditional business really is hardwired to deliver shareholder profit. And while we're hearing lots from corporations about environmental, social and governance issues, or ESG issues at the moment, there's much still to be achieved on all three of these fronts. And I think more and more we're going to see traditional business start to reframe themselves as quasi-social enterprises and claim to have that additional social impact. Now, having worked in the private and the public sectors, I believe the area where business has most to learn is in this social domain. And this is where we, people working in the voluntary, charity, social enterprise sector, have so much first-hand expertise. You are the revolutionaries. And that's what makes groups like this so special. The intent, the commitment, the opportunity cost of taking a path less traveled, the hard graft it takes to do it differently. Every one of your ideas is a social impact revolution waiting to happen. Back to my own journey, I decided to leave the consulting firm and take a few weeks break, and I went to Build School, which was a pop-up 5-day course run by a builder and teacher, Harrison Gardner. I'd hoped to find the skills to build a small outhouse myself as a project to get me away from the laptop even for a little while. And at the campfire one evening, I realised I was sitting with 2 other queer people talking about building projects, housing issues facing queer people, and how we felt excluded from learning these skills as young queer people. It really opened my eyes to the potential social impact of this kind of community, skill sharing, and it was more than knowledge transfer. It was about connection to each other and the world around us, and about building agency to take action on the challenges we face. At that same campfire later on, I sat with Harrison and we spoke about the potential for a new social enterprise that could continue essentially what had been started at the pop-up courses, with potential for wider social impact. And so my next personal impact revolution, I guess you could say, began. And since then, instead of building an outhouse, I've been working with Harrison, our co-founder Aaron, and a brilliantly talented group of instructors and volunteers to create common knowledge. We're a social enterprise based in Clare that empowers people to create a more sustainable, affordable and healthy home, hoping to play some small role in addressing the housing crisis that President Higgins called recently our great failure as a republic. Now, my building takes place mostly on a laptop and my tools are spreadsheets and presentations. Harrison and our instructors work directly with people to teach them to build, to make and to mend. And the diversity of our backgrounds and skills and perspectives on our team, I really believe makes us stronger. And this is something else to leave you with, I think, to find those people who are different to you with shared goals. They could be an individual or an organization. And I guess that the wonderful thing about creating social impact is that it's the most human of motivations and a brilliant accelerant for relationships. For us at Common Knowledge, we're just getting started and we'll be learning from all of you watching our videos today. But for now, we believe that the confidence, agency and community that our participants leave with will help them to create a joyful and abundant life, whatever that means for them. And that's the impact we're working towards. I hope that this program has given each and every one of you confidence, agency and community too. Thank you so much for having me on today and enjoy the rest of the showcase. All the best.
Thank you, Fionn. That was truly inspirational. Let's continue our showcase and meet Rachel from the Colour Club.
Hi, I'm Rachel, creator of the Colour Club Creativity and Wellness Centre based here in my hometown in Arklow, County Wicklow. The pandemic has had a huge impact on our collective mental and emotional well-being. Now more than ever, we need easy, affordable and accessible activities that promote positive mental health habits from a young age. The Colour Club was inspired by my own personal experience. It is a combination of my life as a parent and my career as a designer and yoga teacher. With 3 young kids, I have first-hand experience of living and participating within the local community. The Colour Club will be a visually exciting, immersive space for children and adults to play, learn, explore and experience art, design, music and movement, bringing colour and creativity into everyday life. To quote our Taoiseach at the Creative Youth Conference last summer, we are all at our most human when we are being creative together. In the right environment, we can make new connections and friends, meeting people on common ground, experiencing similar things. As humans, we have the need to belong, to fit in, and to be connected to our community. We provide person-centred, inclusive experiences for kiddos and grown-ups to equip them with lifelong skills that can be used to uplift them every day so that they can fully enjoy the here and now. The vision is to create a warm, welcoming, inclusive and inspiring space where people of all ages and abilities can come and take part in a class or event and feel connected and welcomed with a sense of belonging. Our values are connection, creativity, kindness and compassion. The Colour Club. Colour, create and connect.
Hi Rachel, how are you? Welcome to the Colour Club.
Hi Richard, lovely to meet you today, and I'm really excited to tell you all about the Colour Club.
So Rachel, tell me a little bit how the Colour Club is defined as a social enterprise. Just explain to all our viewers what makes you a social enterprise.
The Colour Club, when it began, it actually wasn't a social enterprise. It was something that I wanted to provide for my community, and I didn't actually even know what a social enterprise was. And we're very, very lucky in Arklow to have a really brilliant town councillor who has such a great vision for the town. And I had worked with her name is Councillor Pierre Leonard, and I'd worked with her on a couple of projects on a voluntary basis. And she said to me, you know, the service that you're providing to the town is essentially a social enterprise. Wow. So I suppose the services that we're providing to the community are of benefit to everybody's emotional well-being and health. And then also, I suppose one of the biggest aims is to bring classes and events that wouldn't normally be accessible to everybody. So everything is going to be at an affordable price point so that not just the adults and kids who can afford to go to classes can benefit from the enterprise.
That's fantastic. So you're helping everyone ultimately. What's your background, Rach, and how did you come up with the idea for your social enterprise? Where did the idea come from?
Growing up, I used to just describe myself as a traveling Wilbury because I was in 6 different primary schools, 2 secondary schools, and I was one of those kids that was always just a bit different. I grew up with a vision impairment, so I had these just incredibly huge glasses. I couldn't see a thing. So I would have struggled growing up in all of the different schools and trying to explain to people, you know, I actually just can't see anything. And yeah, so the club has been created for kids just like little Rachel who feel like they don't belong. They may not be good at sports. They may not be, you know, the most popular kid in class. They may have just moved into the town with their family because Arklow we're a commuter town. So we're very close to Dublin, and a lot of people would move down here and they don't know anybody. So it can be quite difficult for a child to kind of get roots and get to know people, especially if they're shy. I'm shy, so even this today, Richard, is challenging for me, but I've learned an awful lot. And I've also created the club for parents like me and adults like me who are shy and want to connect and want to feel welcomed, and that even if they are a bit different, that's okay. You know, you're not going to be judged in the Colour Club.
Well, everyone knows what it feels like to be different. I know what it feels like to be different. Being a mother, has this inspired your project? I
had no idea of what it was going to be like when I became a parent. I don't think anybody really does. It's quite shocking to the system, and it really it brings you back to your own childhood. And I suppose the club is something that I've created for my kids as well. Somewhere where they can form friendships and they can explore, and they can also learn from me and learn from what I'm doing. So yeah, they're a big inspiration behind the club.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm so happy you have a beautiful family. You're blessed. What challenges, Rachel, do you think you're going to face with this project?
One of the biggest challenges is putting myself out there and doing things like this. My heart is completely pounding right now, but every day I do something that is out of my comfort zone, I get a little bit more comfortable with it. So that's one of the biggest challenges.
I can imagine.
But one of the great things about Social Impact Ireland is that I can put something up there. I can reach out to one of the team, or I can reach out to one of my peers and say, look, have you experienced this? And they're there to offer me advice.
It's great to have the support, isn't it? I think you are amazing. You're already well on your way. I mean, your social enterprise is so developed. Where do you see it going in the next 5 years?
The clubhouse that I am taking over now at the moment, and I have my paintbrushes at the ready, that's going to be my flagship and my base and my home, I suppose, the home of the Colour Club. And home is a very important thing to me because I've moved so much when as a child. And I think having a base where I can really showcase what the club can do for other communities is really important. So then once I have that established, I'd love to start bringing colour clubs from Castlebar to Cork and kind of everywhere in between. I really do think that this is something that will benefit communities nationwide.
Tell me, Rach, what makes this unique? What's the unique selling point as a social enterprise that would enable you to bring this all around the country?
I think it's the combination of well-being, wellness, and creativity. So there is acknowledgement that creativity has a huge impact on our well-being,
Absolutely.
on our day-to-day well-being. Mm-hmm. So I think there's huge interest in this area, and I think that we have different centres that might focus on the arts, or they might focus on, theatre, performing arts. Then we also have wellness centres. But the combination of the two together in a beautifully designed space, I suppose, is the unique selling point. And then my experience as well.
Yeah, you can't buy experience, can you? Your experience is invaluable. Last but not least, how do you think Social Impact Ireland has helped you with your communication skills?
That's something that has really helped me with the Social Impact Programme. I didn't realise when I applied to it that there was such a focus on mindset and your own self-care and acknowledging where you're at. And yes, lots of people do say to me, I seem very comfortable talking to people. And that's because I've worked at it, and I think just showing even that, like showing a little shy kid who struggles to read in front of their class, that here's this person who was the same as me. And yes, they're shy, and yes, they struggle, but they're able to stand up and do this type of work.
Rachel, do you know something? You are amazing. Thank you so much. I am so glad I had the opportunity to talk to you today and learn all about your enterprise.
Thanks so much for chatting with me today, Richard. I've really enjoyed telling you all about the Colour Club, and I can't wait to tell the whole world about it.
I'm giving you 10 cheers, Rachel. You're amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Rach. It was lovely to meet you, and I'm so excited to see how your social enterprise develops. Next up, we have Carmel from the Keep Me Smiling project. Hi, Carmel. How are you? And welcome to the Keep Smiling project. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, Richard. It's really excited to meet you. Looking forward to telling you all about my project.
Thank you, Carmel. It's so nice to meet you. So first off, I just want to learn a little bit about your social enterprise.
So the Keep Me Smiling project is a curriculum-based safety programme to provide all children with reflex reactions to abuse. It teaches them how to use their voice and also their strength to combat it. It's covered over a 6-week programme each and every year. Obviously age appropriate throughout the different age categories. It is in line with the Stay Safe programme that's currently there, just a little bit of more preventative measures, being aware of the timelines, being able to notice and be aware of what abuse actually is. There's lots of abuse that occur that go under the radar as far as emotional and psychological abuse, manipulation, stuff like that, so that its children can note it first and then be able to voice it, to speak about it, to realize that it's something that's not correct behavior. So it's to cover them developing socially, mentally and emotionally, and also physically through the self-defense classes, that there'll be a reflex reaction to abuse, that if they were in a situation that they felt they were in harm, that they would automatically, without realizing it, respond to it.
So tell me, why is this so important to you? Does your motivation for this social enterprise come from your own personal experience?
There is an element of personal experience, Richard. I don't think there's anybody that I know that hasn't been subjected to some level of abuse throughout their life, be it emotional, mental, physical, or sexual.
Absolutely.
So it's a case of, I think humanity alone desire to feel safe. They desire that sense of peace and security. With this programme, the hope that it will give that to people.
So Carmel, you're the mother of 4 children. So how has being a mother inspired this project?
I was a young mother at 21 years of age. And when my eldest son, Michael, was born, I felt this huge sense of awareness of that it was my job to keep him safe. And I found it overwhelming. And that it can't just be one person. It has to be everybody united together. And I think that's where this project really stems from, is that I want to create a world that's out there that my children and their children is going to feel safe and secure in.
Yeah, it's so important that we all feel safe, isn't it? It's so integral to our development as human beings. Tell me, how is this different from other programs, Carmel? And what is the unique selling point of this social enterprise? How does it separate you from other social enterprises that are similar?
Similar to an academic curriculum, Richard, there's an element of progression with it. You can see the progression throughout the years, physically, mentally, emotionally. Their awareness, their confidence will build, their own sexual awareness, and they're removing the stigma around that. So you will be able to see it as opposed to hoping that it will be there.
Right. It's a 6-week program. Where do you find the candidates, and who are the candidates? Who are the people that would take part in this program?
We're talking is from junior infants up to even cert.
You have to start the process young, right?
Exactly. It has to be started at a young age, and then continued on throughout their schooling into secondary school, into 6th year. Obviously, their social development stages change along that, and their circles of friends change along with that. So they also have to be very aware as they become preteens and teens of the ability to say no and the confidence to have it to say no.
Well, that's a very important thing to teach them, absolutely. Where are you finding these kids to sign them up? Are you going through schools?
So it will be through the schools. The desire is to bring it into all schools throughout Ireland and hopefully elsewhere. But the initial is to get into the schools, into projects, locally, communities. I think a lot of trauma that is there, it is a case of that it brings about addictions and negative reactions from it, that if we can remove the stigma that's there and bring more of an awareness to what was the cause of it, then that might help a lot more.
You were really speaking to my heart right now, because I'm 50 and I'm still trying to get over my childhood trauma. I think we all are, in a way. Are you hoping to get funding to pilot this in a primary school? Is that what you're hoping to do?
Absolutely. So the key to is to get it piloted at first, to get it out there and to get some feedback from it. And hopefully from that point then is to roll it out into additional schools. But the initial pilot is a 3-school, 6-week programme, to kind of get a general idea from different localities. So there'll be 3 separate schools, 3 different localities.
All right. And tell me, what challenges do you think you're going to face with this project? I mean, what do you feel is your biggest obstacle?
I believe that it is, once I get it into the schools, that is going to be the biggest obstacle, to actually get it up and running at first, because obviously a lot of places are reluctant to, I suppose, take on something new. There's also the fear of the unknown. And I suppose to get on board with the Board of Education, that they too will see the benefit of it. So I would dream that it would be a case of that they would like to see it in each and every school. So that would be a challenge, to try and collaborate with them.
Carmel, I think it's a beautiful project, and it really resonates with me on a personal level, because I think that trauma affects every aspect of your life. I think your challenge will be to find a working model and actually piloting it. But tell me, last but not least, how has it been working with Social Impact Ireland, and how have they helped you develop this process?
The support and one-to-one attention has been absolutely amazing. They, at each and every step along the way, they've given such great advice and links to other social enterprises that we can work together as a community. They've been amazing.
I'm thrilled that you took part in this process with Social Impact Ireland. I think you are an amazing person. I think your project is amazing. I love what you're doing. You're benefiting society. And I'm giving you the biggest round of applause ever, Carmel. Congratulations. It was so lovely to meet you. And I can't wait to meet you again and find out more about your project.
Thanks very much, Richard. Take care.
Thank you, Carmel, and the best of luck developing your enterprise. Next up, we have Elaine from Community Planning. Hi Elaine, how are you? I am so excited to hear all about your social enterprise community planning. Welcome, how are you?
Hi Richard, so excited to meet you and have a chat about our project.
It's so lovely to meet you too. First off, Elaine, can you explain to everybody watching, what do you actually do and what is your background?
So Community is a planning consultancy, much like a lot of the private for-profit firms. But I'm bringing a diverse background to it to really focus on working with communities, working with people who are not in the development profession. So while most planning firms are focused on working with developers and those already involved and empowered, I see that there's a huge community out there who are not being served by that private sector. And I want to bring the skills, the education, the abilities of that sort of private planning sector to people who otherwise might not feel they can get involved in planning.
Like who? Like who exactly?
Anyone at the moment who's involved in or even just interested in their community. There are so many grassroots movements out there doing things like Street Feast or, guerrilla gardening. Fizz Fest is a local one for me, the Finsborough Festival. All of these groups are doing amazing work, but a lot of them don't have the capacity to interact with planning. And I'm really here to act as a facilitator, act as a co-author, and to enable them and build their capacity in planning.
All right. This is fascinating because I would not think in a million years about why a bench is placed where it is in a park. Do you know what I mean? Listen, tell me a little bit about your social enterprise and where you actually got the idea for your social enterprise.
I grew up as a child in a family with disabilities, and sometimes that was very limiting on what we could do. There were places that as a child I just could not go with family members because of the lack of facilities, whether that be simply benches to sit down, quiet spaces for those with autism, things like that. And I also grew up in the middle of a context where the local roads, including Patrick Street, was designed to be a motorway. So that really restricted my freedom as a child. I couldn't walk to school on my own for a long time because I had to cross a 6-lane road. So growing up, I really saw how the physical environment we live in affects us. And that's really where my first primary interest in planning comes from.
Tell me, what impact you think your social enterprise will have on the community? I mean, how would you help them? If I was the Tidy Towns group and I came to you for help, how would you help me?
Well, in the current planning context, the first thing would be looking at the town from the point of view of the tidy towns and those who live there, and using moderation and facilitation as a group to come up with a really good statement on what they want from their council for their town. And then using different, whether it be research methods, submissions, just facilitating interaction with the planning department for them to approach and demonstrate that this is what they want and that they have a background as to why they want it. It's not a single person approaching, it's a community approach. And if needed, that they have the research and data to back it up.
Elaine, what challenges do you think you're going to face with this project? I mean, defining what you actually do. Do you think that's going to be a challenge for you?
Yes, it's going to be an enormous challenge. One of the things that I feel strongly about, but I understand is making probably life more difficult, is even just using the term planning. Really, what I am going to do is enable communities to make change. And then there is really a current status quo with planning in Ireland. We are not taking consultation and community interaction seriously. It's still very staid, and it's about 10 years behind international best practice, in my opinion. And so I'm really looking to bring international best practice into Ireland, but I'm going to fight a fight for that because it's not how things are currently done here.
Right. Elaine, will you explain to me and explain to our audience, how are you actually a social enterprise?
The way it's a social enterprise is that everything in the business, any excess made in terms of projects that are done goes back to working with maybe clients who have financial barriers to accessing our services, or working on outreach and education, maybe through things like secondary school programs. So it's, well, we like to say in the social enterprise, it's profit making, but not profit taking.
That's amazing, Elaine. I'm so glad it's going back in. Where do you see it all going in the next 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, I hope to have a number of communities around the country that I'm working with long term, that, maybe started out as feasibility assessments, community-led social infrastructure audits, many things that I can offer. but that in 5 years' time, I will be still working with those communities, but they will be doing their own interaction and planning.
And now the million-dollar question. How has working with Social Impact Ireland helped you along on your journey?
I started the course and they really took it back down to brass tacks. I had a lovely little outline Lego model and they took it and said, what's each brick? How do you do this? And now I feel like I have a much firmer foundation for the business, a much better understanding of where I'm going, what I'm doing, and what benefit I can give. My confidence in myself as the business owner has really grown.
I love talking to you. I love learning all about it. Thank you for teaching me about planning. I knew nothing about any of this stuff. And I am rooting for you and wishing you every success moving into the future with your social enterprise, Elaine. Thank you so much. Round of applause.
Thanks for that, Richard. Such a good chat.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks so much, Elaine. I really enjoyed speaking with you. And now it's time to hear from our second guest speaker, Claudia O'Reilly. Claudia is a PhD candidate in the field of social enterprise, researching specifically the process of scaling a social enterprise. Claudia has over 15 years experience in the not-for-profit and social enterprise sector, both in Ireland and abroad. It's over to you, Claudia.
Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be here, and I was delighted to be asked to join the celebrations today and wish you a huge congratulations on all you have achieved over the last couple of weeks with the Social Impact Ireland programme. I hope you take a moment today to reflect on all you've achieved and all that you have learnt. Sometimes it can be hard to stop for a moment and take things in. So I hope that today you get an opportunity to just say a very well done to yourself. So my name is Claudia O'Reilly. I'm a PhD candidate in the area of social enterprise. I'm working specifically on the scaling of social enterprises. So I've been doing a PhD in TU Dublin for almost 2 years now. I'm in the stage of doing my field work. And I guess I was motivated to do a PhD in social enterprise because I really believe in the potential of social enterprises, and I wanted to see more social enterprises to scale and increase their social impact throughout the country. I have, I suppose, a good amount of experience in the social enterprise sector. I've worked running a social enterprise for a number of years. I have worked as a board member, as a volunteer, as an advisor, in a whole range of different capacities. And so I guess I know the challenges that being involved in a social enterprise have, but also I know the incredible feeling of working in a social enterprise. There's nowhere else I would want to be in. I think that it has such amazing potential to change Ireland, and I think we are only getting started. We need social enterprises, quite frankly, and so it's really important that people like you continue on your journey and continue to create that social impact. Probably looking back 15 years ago, I'm not sure I knew what a social enterprise was. I worked in the commercial space. I was an accountant, a tax accountant, and I had the opportunity to move to Canada, and I got involved in a temporary role just for a couple of weeks while I was traveling in the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. And sadly, I lost my mum to breast cancer quite a while ago, but obviously it was something that really impacted our family. And when I got the opportunity to work in the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation and to contribute quite directly, I suppose, to research that was hopefully going to save someone else's mum, I was absolutely hooked on the work of impact. And realised like this is an amazing thing to be working at, spending my time. It felt very worthwhile. And so I worked in charities for quite a while, but then I suppose by chance came across the social enterprise model, and coming from an entrepreneurial background, it suddenly clicked with me straight away. It's like, this is the space that I want to be in. This is the space that I want to work, where I'm using my commercial business skills in order to achieve social impact. And so that's how I ended up in the social enterprise space, and I have absolutely never looked back. I think that social enterprises can pave the way for the future in terms of creating a more inclusive, a more hopeful, future and more sustainable future, we really have some very critical, challenging social issues that we're facing in Ireland and across the globe. And I believe that social enterprises can demonstrate to other sectors how we can solve social issues, how we can do them in a sustainable way, where everybody is included in society, and it's not just lip service, or it's not just for a time or in a certain section, but right in the heart of society, that we become inclusive and we become sustainable and all those other things that we need to become. It's really hard work. Social enterprise is not easy. I don't need to tell you guys that, but it is something that's incredibly meaningful. And I want to make sure that I am part of that story and part of leading the way to a better society. And I know that you guys do, so I really applaud you for that. It's an incredibly exciting time to be involved in social enterprise in Ireland. Things are changing, things are happening all the time. I'm sure, like me, you've been standing back and taking notice of all the incredible projects building awareness from the Arise projects, the Arise funding that we've seen. It's been amazing to see so many awareness building activities going on. I think everybody knows about social enterprise, but unfortunately that's not the case quite yet. And so I really am delighted to see so many activities going on in the space. And also we have our social enterprise census coming up, where we really will learn to get to grips with how many social enterprises there are in Ireland, and that's going to be a real milestone for us. Of course there's lots of challenges in the social enterprise space, but nothing that we can't overcome. They're not insurmountable challenges. And I believe that we have to do the work. It's so important that social enterprises succeed in achieving that social impact. No one else is going to do it for us, and we have to pave the way. So well done again on all your amazing work. I'll continue to watch this space to see where you go in the future. And I hope, as I said, that you take a moment just to celebrate your achievements today. Thanks.
Thank you, Claudia. That was so insightful. Next up, we're going to continue our showcase. It's time to meet Dara and learn all about her social enterprise, Sheila.
I'm Dara Halpin, and I'm the founder of Sheila. Sheila is a one-stop online shop that empowers women to take care of their pelvic floor. Pelvic floor issues like pain and incontinence affect around 30 to 50% of women. This rises to about 70% of women over 60. That equates to around 1 billion women globally that we know are living with pelvic floor issues. I first encountered the world of pelvic floor healthcare when I was pregnant with my first child. As an opera singer, I was already aware of the pelvic floor and how important it is for breathing and good posture. And I took care of my body during pregnancy and planned for a really relaxing home birth. Unfortunately, life had other plans, and I ended up with a forceps delivery and some pretty significant damage to my pelvic floor. My recovery was difficult, to say the least. I really struggled to accept my new body as I was so distraught at my incontinence symptoms. About a year after my daughter was born, my pelvic floor issues had started to impact every area of my life. I was avoiding social situations in case I had an accident. I was avoiding intimacy with my partner, and I was terrified to go back to work in case I was too far from a toilet. I was only 33, and I thought I would have to live with these symptoms for the rest of my life. I decided to try and make a change. I started with a visit to my GP, and that led to a long series of appointments with various different consultants and physiotherapists until I found the solutions that worked for me. The process was frustrating and difficult, but oh so worth it. I decided to create Sheila to give women a roadmap to better pelvic floor health. Pelvic floor issues affect women's lives in many different ways. Women with incontinence are much less likely to exercise, leading to weight gain, poorer heart and lung function, and after menopause, poorer bone health. Women with incontinence also suffer more urinary tract infections, leading to pain, discomfort, and fever. Incontinence is also a significant factor in the difficult decision to put a loved one into care. But above all of these, the most concerning impact is that to a woman's self-esteem. The psychological and practical implications of living with these symptoms on a daily basis means that women are more reluctant to participate at almost every level of their lives. But the greatest challenge is a lack of knowledge. Many women do not know that incontinence is not a natural part of aging. Women do not know that there is help available. And most worryingly, many women do not even know what their pelvic floor is, or what it does, or how integral it is to their mental and physical health. After all, how can you say it hurts if you don't know what it's called? At Sheila, we're on a mission to let women know they don't have to suffer with the symptoms of pelvic floor issues. Our services are immediate, accessible, and affordable. The goal is to improve quality of life for millions of women. Sheila is here to empower and motivate women to take care of their pelvic floor health at every stage of their lives. We're here to support you.
Hi Dara, how are you? And welcome to your social enterprise. Sheila, how are you?
Hi Richard, really great to meet you. Thanks for the call today. I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about my social enterprise.
And Dara, I am so excited to learn all about it because I personally, as a male, have suffered from pelvic floor issues. I know they affect women and men across the world. First of all, tell me all about your social enterprise.
So we're calling it Sheila, and the idea about Sheila is she's going to be like a guide. So Sheila will be a guide to your pelvic floor. It can be a very confusing subject for a lot of people. It can be a subject that people kind of resist engaging with because I think symptoms are embarrassing and it can be difficult to discuss. So we really want to create that safe space where people can come and get reliable information from trusted sources. And that's really going to help them and give them things that they can try themselves in the comfort of their own home and really help them engage with the subject and just get better results. So pelvic floor issues, as you mentioned, affect huge numbers of people, and they can affect anyone, but they disproportionately affect women. We have about 40 to 50% of adult women with pelvic floor issues, and that goes up to about 70% of women over 60. And that we're talking about things like incontinence and pain. And the reason they're worse for women is because the biggest risk factors for these issues are things like pregnancy, birth, and also menopause. So because women have to go through a lot of those things, they just have much higher numbers of women suffering with these issues. So what we want to do really is get the message out there that incontinence is not a natural part of aging. It is, a difficulty with your physiology. And because of that, the good news is those issues are preventable, manageable, and treatable no matter your age. So no matter your stage of life, and these issues can affect people as young as 15 and also all the way up to people in their 90s. Something can be done. There is hope and everything can improve.
Thank God there is hope. I'm so glad that I'm meeting you today because you're educating me. Tell me, how did you come up with the name Sheila? Is it inspired by Irish mysticism?
Indeed, yeah. So we wanted a brand name that kind of invoked ancient feminine wisdom, really. So she comes from the Sheila na Gigs. She was a fertility goddess. So really getting back to that idea that this is information everybody should have. And kind of in our modern lives, we've gotten away from it and we just need to come back and take that ownership of our own physiology.
Why is it so important to you, Dara, to empower women?
So when I had my first child, I had my own pelvic floor issues. So I suffered a 3rd-degree tear. And I'll be graphic for a moment. That is when you have a tear in the skin and tissues all the way from your vagina to your anus. So when I should have been cuddling my baby girl and having a great time, I was struggling to walk and I had to learn how to use the toilet all over again. And that is an extreme case. But what I found was my kind of initial, horrible difficulties got better. They got a bit better. It was grand. I was able to get around. I was able to move. But after about a year, I realized I just didn't feel like myself. I still had a lot of pain. I was still having incontinence symptoms. And I just thought, I'm only 33. I can't live like this for the rest of my life. But I also found that trying to resolve those issues and having to go to my doctor, and to be honest, it's a difficult area because it falls between a lot of specialists. So you might have to talk to your obstetrician or your urologist or your colorectal specialist or your physiotherapist. There's a lot of people involved.
Wow.
And every time you go see one of those people, you have to get up on the table, you have to take off your clothes and have a very invasive examination. And I resisted it at every level. It was so difficult. And I felt like there just has to be a better way.
Where were you when my bestie had a baby? She just recently had a baby, and after having her baby, she had pelvic floor issues. So women need to do pelvic floor exercises after pregnancy. Most pregnant women, right?
So that is the recommendation, that everybody does the pelvic floor exercises. And, you know, you're lying there in the bed with the newborn that you suddenly have to keep alive, and you don't have a clue how to do that. And somebody comes to bed and says, but you're doing your Kegels, aren't you? And all you do is nod and smile and say, yes, I am. And for a few days, you know, dutifully squeeze your muscles. But actually, Kegels are more complicated than that. They can be tricky. They can be tricky for people to find, particularly if you have an injury. It's a lot of muscles. So they can kind of become disassociated. And we're not used to tuning into what those sensations are like. And it's very difficult to feel, I'm doing this right. Like the question all the time is, am I doing it right? Is it making a difference? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's hard to find the muscles because they're not muscles that you traditionally use in your day-to-day life. Tell me, how are you going to find your audience, and what services are you going to offer?
So what I love about this plan is Sheila is going to be really active on social media. So we're looking at talking to different groups of women via different platforms. So information will be targeted. And to fulfill our social mission of getting that message out there and providing real guidance and help to women, a lot of that will be free. So bite-sized pieces of information that are easy to digest. But the other side of that is that will drive traffic to our website. And our website will have a lot of layers. So one of our big values is accessibility. So we want the information is democratic. It's information. It should be free. And then on top of that, we're hoping to have a curated web shop with products that people may need, and also online courses. So the online courses will really form the core of the business. So the hope is that we're going to pilot this next year, but the hope is that we'll have various modules. And because no two people are the same, no two pelvic floors are the same, no two journeys are the same, people will be able to pick and make a course out of the modules that are most relevant to them.
Well, so many men like myself also have pelvic floor issues, I'm sure, as you know. Are you going to work with men?
We're definitely going to be looking at things like relationships. And I think there's a big section for partners that's really important. How do you support people with these issues? How do you talk to your partner about it? How does it affect your relationship? Oh, that's really huge. And I think down the line, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have a partner organization or a partner brand that looks at the men's side of things? But I think it's definitely down the line for us.
Well, you're already educating me, so I think you have a very viable project, in my opinion. Tell me, how has working with Social Impact Ireland helped you and your social enterprise?
Above all, actually, it's been inspirational. So the other people in my cohort are unbelievable and doing incredible work, but also the staff at SII, they're just so experienced, and the depth and breadth of their experiences is quite inspiring.
Dara, it was lovely to talk to you, especially about something so personal to me. And I am rooting for you, and I cannot wait to see where you take your social enterprise. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'm giving you a massive round of applause, and I hope to
Thanks a million, Richard. I really enjoyed the chat today. Hope we can catch up again soon.
Thank you so much, Dara. That was so informative, and I learned so much. Next up, let's meet Bevan from Clonmany Community Centre. Hi, Bevan, how are you? And I just want to welcome everyone in Clonmany to our Social Enterprise Showcase.
Hi, Richard. How are you? I'm delighted to meet you. And I'm really excited to tell you all about our fantastic community centre here in Clonmany.
So lovely to meet you too, babe, and thank you so much. I really think that this is something that could work in other community centres all around the country the more and more I researched your project. I'm so excited for you to share with everyone about what your social enterprise actually does.
No, so within the community centre, it is a social enterprise, but we have a few different enterprise aspects to it to help sustain the building and the workforce here. One of them is we have a fitness suite, so we bring in income from it. We actually have a state-of-the-art craft centre to the rear of the building, so we focus on traditional Irish crafts. We do pottery. We have a wood turning room that has 8 lathes. We have our own pottery studio with a kiln and everything. So we really have our own setup there for that. Added to that, we have a sewing space and a sewing room, and where the ladies used to meet. And what has developed out of our patchwork group then now we have probably the largest craft fabric shop in Ireland. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Other than that, we rent rooms, we rent space, we run childcare. We have a breakfast club, a preschool, and an after-school service. We're affiliated to our local youth service, and we run a drop-in centre and activities for teenagers. We run adult classes, we run children's classes, we do birthday parties. And then on top of that, we have the community pantry.
Wow, you guys offer so many services, really amazing. But I want to learn specifically about the Clonmany community pantry. I think what you're doing with this is really fascinating. I know you've worked with Food Cloud previously, and maybe they inspired this current food waste initiative that you guys are offering.
We formed our link with Food Cloud in 2018. And really what we wanted to do with that was to use it we really love their idea of what they do with food waste. So they're linking charities like ourselves up with supermarkets to help us redistribute food that might be damaged packaging or nearing their best before date and blah, blah, blah. So what we thought was, God, this would be a great, unique opportunity to bring that food into the centre and educate the children within our after-school service about the food products, where they came from, about waste, to talk about these were going to the skip had we not decided we would utilise them. So we set up community pantry box at the front door of our building. One of them had, like shelf life items or whatever in it, and the other box had sanitary products in it. And we decided instead of it, we really didn't want to get it confused with being like a food bank. So we've thought our message that we send out from the very beginning is really important to us, because this is what this was all about, and it was educating people. Fantastic. So we said, right, we've got to scale this up. So we actually had a shipping container that had doors and windows in it. And we decided, let's shelve this out. Let's get fridges and freezers. All our staff are trained in food safety. So let's do this and make it, a bigger thing. And that's what we did. And that next steps turned into the most wonderful part of the next section of the project, because you had people who were queuing to use the pantry, and they were talking to one another, explaining what this product was, and what do you do with rhubarb, and how do you cook this, and what is that? And they were swapping recipes. They were exchanging plants, exchanging seeds. People were bringing in eggs. Our next thing locally here with it is we've linked up with our local high dependency and elderly residential centre. And they have a section of land that they asked, would we like to do something with it? And I was like, oh my God, we could develop a community orchard.
Wow, the sky is the limit for you guys. I personally love working with community centres, because you really get to see the impact and the results of all the work that's been done. Tell me, where do you see yourselves going in the next 5 years?
So we have tweaked the model and set up the model that we actually feel can be rolled out elsewhere. And that rolling out elsewhere, we actually had started because we had a volunteer that was volunteering with us who was in NUIG in Galway. And he had said that, my goodness, this would be fantastic for students. And we were like, well, let's bring it to the university. So we actually went down to the university, we met with the president and the sustainability group and the student services. They are all over the idea. And in March, we actually launched our first student pantry in NUIG.
Wow.
And during that, we ran it for an 8-week pilot project. And in that, we had over 100 students attending every single day. Every single day. So it really is a fantastic project. And where we want to go, we believe that our model can be rolled out in other communities as is, in a type of a kind of a franchise setup. And it would be fantastic if we could do that. And hopefully maybe that part of the enterprise aspect to that would be for us, that we would get a little bit of the cream off the top.
Bevan, I think it's a brilliant idea. Honestly, it could work all around the country and it would help so many people. And it's really badly needed right now, to be honest. Tell me, how do you think working with Social Impact Ireland has helped your social enterprise in its development and its process?
Well, it's definitely, for starters, I was never thinking of like a franchise model. And it's really, when you work in community work, it's very difficult to think business. But you do have to have some sort of a business head on you, because really our role is we want to be able to provide jobs locally, provide services locally. And in order to do that, you need to generate the income to sustain all of those services and jobs. So you've got to think with an enterprise head on you. And I really do think Social Impact Ireland has helped me to swing my head around and try and really focus on the two, blend the two together. So I do try to throw in that word of franchise, because although franchise means very business-like, it was Social Impact Ireland as well that had mentioned that word to me, that I thought, this is the way that I've got to think on this project.
I think it is so smart to give you the idea to turn this into a franchise, because I think it is such viability and it's going to help so many people all around the country. Thank you so much for your time today, Bevan. I loved talking to you and I'm wishing you guys every success for the future. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful talking to you, Richard. I really enjoyed that, and hopefully you'll pay us a visit sometime in Donegal.
Thank you so much, Bevan. You're amazing and I am rooting for you. And now it's time to meet our final social enterprise today. It's Noel and Wayne from Surf the Curve.
Hi, I'm Wayne. I'm Noel. Together we are Surf the Curve. Surf the Curve is aimed at all children, be they supremely talented or those who may just need a gentle helping hand along the way.
We allow children to be children first. Our programme celebrates their energy, enthusiasm and impulsivity.
Our mission is to provide a pathway for children to develop into adults with a positive attitude to exercise. Our approach is to bring children together in a fun, safe and friendly environment where there is no pressure to be selected or to win at all costs. We use a fun, multi-sport, child-centred approach. We try to keep the instructions as brief as possible. Our sessions contain different stations. Each group is rotated every 15 minutes and gives a new challenge, a new coach and a fresh voice. As there is such a variety, every child is given their opportunity to shine.
We envisage that our approach will bridge the gap from young childhood to sports participation. We hope to re-inspire children who may have been forgotten or become disillusioned with mainstream sport. Our vision would be that a Surf the Curve programme would become the norm when it comes to providing activity for young children. This way, they can build a solid foundation and have the confidence to stay active into the future.
We recognise the pressures and anxieties experienced by children in modern day life. After seeing immeasurable improvements in children we coach, our ambition and drive is to spread our methods to help as many people as possible. This is important to us. We strongly believe that Surf the Curve helps children to develop socially, emotionally, mentally and physically. By impacting the children at such an early age, it gives them a great foundation to thrive. At Surf the Curve, we always let children be children first.
We embrace the chaos.
Hi Wayne and Noel, how are you guys? I want to welcome Surf the Curve.
So hi Richard, it's great to meet you. Can't wait to tell you about our social enterprise today, Surf the Curve.
Hi Richard, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm really looking forward to introduce you and the team to Social Impact Ireland to what Surf the Curve has already done.
So I know you guys are both athletes and both parents, and I know you're both aware of the importance that physical activity plays in mental health. First off, can you tell the audience a little bit about your social enterprise and what you actually do?
Surf the Curve is a youth athletic development business set up by myself and my friend and business partner, Noel McCarthy. So our passion is to bring children together in a fun and friendly environment without the pressure to win at all costs. So we make sure that every child is included and not left behind regardless of their abilities. So we understand that children develop at various stages. All our activities are fun-based and they're specifically designed to enhance the child's strength, mobility, athletic development. We have combined the best attributes from many sports to provide an environment and culture for children to grow and explore in a socially inclusive manner.
Fantastic. Tell me, how did you come up with this social enterprise? What were your inspirations? Where did the ideas come from?
So I would have been involved as a club development officer at both hurling and camogie clubs, and I would have served there for about 10 years. What I would have noticed is that when trying to set up a nursery and when coaching very young children over the course of 5 or 6 years, was that they weren't very engaged in sport, and it just seemed that their parents were just bringing them along every weekend. It was kind of sedentary. To me, it didn't really feel like activity, and the children didn't really seem to enjoy it. And I just felt that it was because it was too much of an adult structure that was imposed on children, and the children weren't really given the freedom to develop for the ages that they were at. So from there, I suppose we decided to come up with our own program. The program would be about the children's needs first. So it would take into consideration their attention spans, what the developing body needed, and so things like balance, coordination, activities that strengthen muscles and bone strength. And but the most important thing for us was that the children would come, they would have fun, and they would have the freedom to express themselves and the freedom to co-create games with us. So that's where our idea for our social enterprise came.
Yeah, making it fun and creative is so important for young people. Tell me, what impact do you think that your social enterprise is going to have on your community?
I would say 20% of our children that come to us, we are the only outlet that they have, both socially and physically. So on a monthly basis, we would also provide a free class for children that might need just a little bit more relaxed scale in the class. So those kids might be on the spectrum or also ADHD. So when they come to us, the class is a lot more relaxed. There's very little pressure. There's very little structure. And we let, first of all, the children be children themselves first. This is also provided by us free of charge. So it's our way of giving back to the community. And we found a massive uptake in this. And even with testimonials from parents and just our own goodwill, it's really, really satisfying, you know. So on average, we would coach maybe 180 people a week. And that range would be from 5-year-olds all the way up to people to the age of 57. We would help coach the Gaelic Mothers and Others, which is a local football thing for ladies in the community. So we would help coach that as well.
Absolutely. The more inclusive you are, the better. And the more healthier we all are, the better. Tell me, how do you think that physical activity actually affects mental health?
Physical activity is vital for children and adults in general, but especially in children, especially with neuroplasticity. So the brain can be wired and unwired through structure and through learning. And this helps then children be more integrated into mainstream sports as well, and also just gives them a positive relationship with exercise going forward.
That's amazing. I want a more comfortable relationship with exercise. Can you help me? Tell me, how are you going to scale this project? How will it grow and where is it going?
We have a program now that we are ready to scale out to the rest of the country and empower people to access their piece of the Sport Capital Grant and accommodate children who maybe have disabilities, hidden disabilities, developmental or neurodevelopmental disorders, because these children would have already fallen out of sport because they just for perceived lack of ability, maybe, and like a child who is in that position, who is not given the chance to partake in physical activity, that has a huge psychosocial and physiological effect on them for the rest of their lives. We will be formulating a course that puts our approach together. Okay, so we have already identified a special education teacher, a physiotherapist, a PE teacher, an occupational therapist, and a neuroscientist who are going to help us to put this course together. This course will be developed online on our website, but it will also have in-person workshops. This will mean that every coach that we educate will give the same quality of coaching as we do in Surf to Curve in our location. So we want every child in Ireland to be given the same chance to go through the strengths-based approach, and where every child will be celebrated.
Fantastic. Tell me, what you think is your social enterprise's unique selling point, and what is going to separate you from competitors in the same business?
I would say Surf to Curve's unique selling point is definitely our structure. So our structure is specifically designed to develop a child's skills, speed, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So we created play-based activities where children are allowed to be children first, without the pressure and the win at all costs atmosphere that is in other organizations. At Surf to Curve, we also employ the best coaches we possibly can with high levels of emotional intelligence, and they're also able to deal with kids that may otherwise be marginalized in mainstream sport, and we have provided a safe haven for those people.
Yeah, it's so important that children are allowed to be children, right? And also learn about the importance of physical activity, especially for their mental health. Listen, guys, thank you so much. It was lovely to chat with you.
It was great to meet you, and I hope you watch out for us in the future to see where we're going from here.
Thank you so much, Noel.
It was a pleasure to work with you and the Social Impact Ireland team. We really look forward to working with you again, and please keep an eye on Surf to Curve because we're always moving up.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. The only way is up. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to speak to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Well done, Wayne and Noel. You should be so proud of yourselves, and thank you so much for your time. That wraps up the last of the social entrepreneurs featured in today's showcase. And now we're going to hear some final words from Michaela Donegan, the Social Innovation and Impact Manager at Social Impact Ireland.
Thank you for your finesse, Richard. We've now glided to the end of our Showcase 2022 Business for Social Impact. Who would have thought this moment would have arrived so quickly as the world endeavours to find its feet again? We've really enjoyed supporting all the amazing social entrepreneurs and businesses you saw here today. It's been an honour to walk a small way of their path over the last 6 months. These participants have asked themselves some uncomfortable questions throughout this time and have shown true spirit on arriving at this moment. They have spent significant time directly experiencing the realities of the people and communities they serve. We wish to thank all the expert panellists who joined us for our pitching sessions, along with the outside facilitators who passed on their expert knowledge during the first 3 months of this programme. I would like to give a special thanks to our 2 guest speakers today, Claudia O'Reilly from Social Enterprise Solutions and Fionn Kidney from Our Common Knowledge, along with a huge thank you to the whole Social Impact Ireland team who have worked so hard to ensure today's event is a success. Thank you also to our collaborators, partners and ongoing supporters who we very much value. Lastly, we thank James for his keen eye and ability to pull it all together, and Richard for his boundless energy and fun. For the participants, this is only the beginning of a more exciting road ahead. We will continue to support you in whatever way suits for you, and we'll be here if or when you wish to further develop or scale your business. We hope that all of you watching will become part of this impact revolution and ensure that an impact society is held to the fore. As Henry Ford once said, the highest use of capital is not to make more money, but to make money do more for the betterment of life. Thank you for watching today.
Thank you, Michaela, and congratulations to all our 2022 graduates. This is Richard Lynch, and you've been watching Social Impact Ireland's 2022 Showcase. See you soon!